Sou Pedro Martins, CEO do PMhub e Dean da American Business School, parceiro da Comunica RH. É um imenso prazer hoje ter no 30 Minutos com Pedro Martins, Ernesto Ulsher, Partner e Managing Director de RBL Group, a consultoria de Ulrich, o maior influenciador mundial da nossa década. Bem-vindo a Portugal, Ernesto, e muito obrigado por ter aceitado o meu convite para vir a Portugal, palestrar no Congresso da APG e fazer o lançamento da nossa parceria com a PMhub, a APG e Bingo One. E gostaria exatamente de começar por perguntar a você como é que se sente como embaixador a nível global da maior referência mundial da gestão de pessoas, o nosso amigo Ulrich. Eu confesso a você que eu ouço falar do David e tenho uma admiração enorme pelo David desde os meus tempos de estudante universitário. Mais tarde ele foi co-orientador do meu doutorado e hoje é praticamente um sonho poder dizer que tenho uma parceria com a RBL Group e com Ulrich. Como é que é ser embaixador a nível global de Ulrich?
Perfecto. Primero voy a falar un poquinho de portuñol. Muchas gracias, muito obrigado por having me here, por tenerme acá. Y voy a pasar ahora a inglés para poder conectar un poco mejor. First of all, thank you for having me here. Very excited to be here with you, for inviting me to be part of the network and to connect with you. So, talking a little bit about being the ambassador, I think I have been connected. I'm originally from Colombia, but I'm living in the US, in Miami right now, for the past 20 years. So I have been connected with Ulrich for the past 25 years. First, because I read about him, because I read his documents and his books and all those kind of things. Then as a representative for Latin America, then he called me to come so that I could become his partner in the US. So I have been connected with him for a long time. First of all, I admire him, and not only him, but my other mentor that has been Norm Smallwood, which is also a writer in the things that we do. So they have been my mentors since then. I have traveled the world deploying the concepts and deploying the learnings from what we do in RBL to possibly 60 countries, traveling more than 250 days per year to try to take this to different levels. What I think is that we're in a mission. We're in a mission to create abundance, to create organizational health, to create and develop and help people develop their leadership skills, their HR skills, plus also create and convert better organizations from there on. So it's very exciting. I feel like an apostle in many ways, taking all these concepts so that we can have a better world. So very exciting. I'm very happy to be here.
Great. E o que é que David tem de tão especial e tão contemporâneo para, durante os últimos 40 anos, manter-se permanentemente como uma das maiores referências mundiais nos recursos humanos? Em 40 anos ele não desatualiza?
Great question. I think that the biggest thing and the most important thing about what Dave does and what RBL does is to keep it simple. So it's about simplicity, it's about also the willingness to evolve, but to evolve always thinking from the outside in. Thinking we do a lot of research, we do a lot of content, and sometimes it's very difficult for us as consultants to follow what Dave and the other people, some of us that are writing all the time, because there's a lot of content and there's a lot of things that are going to be new and different. So I think it's about humility, it's about being humble, it's about understanding that if you connect from the outside in, you're going to learn a lot. So I think it's not just thinking that your research is the best in the world, because the best practice is the one that works for you. So it's always being humble to try to learn from others so that we can connect in different ways. So I think that's the key differentiator. There's a lot of books, there's a lot of research, but constant evolution, constant transformation for our ideas, from our ideas to connect with the people and the organizations.
Esse conceito do RH de fora para dentro está associado a outro conceito de business partner que ele criou nos anos 80, não é? Isso de alguma forma é disruptivo sobre o papel da gestão de pessoas. No seu entender, qual é hoje o papel da gestão de pessoas nas organizações? Que contributo é que elas podem dar para o negócio das empresas?
Great. So I think that the HR, the business partner concept has evolved. If you remember, if people remember, the first book, which was HR Champions, that maybe you read, and if you have a copy like I do from those times, and it's like, it was called like the Bible of HR at that time. We were talking about...
I can remember very well.
Yeah, you're right. We were talking about concepts of, for example, HR thinking on how to be the employee advocate. Those kind of things, and trying to make sure that HR had a different role and that we were partnering with the organization. So I think the concept has evolved a lot. The first thing that I would say is that when we talk about business partnership and when we talk about the business partnership concept, this is not only about the role, this is about the whole function. So the whole function has to be partnering with the organization, not just partnering with leaders. It's partnering with the organization and being part of the organization so that we can create better value. What we say is that the most important thing that HR can do for an employee is to help to make sure that we have a great organization that produces results. So it's not only about compensating them or giving them best opportunities of work and all those kind of things. It's making sure that HR is producing and the organization is producing the value. Because if the organization is not growing or not producing value, there will not be jobs for the people that we work with. So that's like the first thing, and people need to understand that if we were to think about what we said before about the employee, that connecting with the employee, now it's connecting with the business, correct? And making sure that the employees understand the best way to make the organization grow. So I think it has evolved a lot, the concept. We still feel that many people are using the concept, saying or calling people business partners, but they're still pair of hands. They're still they call them business partners, but they are not really business partners. They are not really connecting to the lens of the business, but they're talking HR, but not necessarily connecting to the lens of the business. So I think that that's the big difference, and I think we're once again in a quest to try to make sure that HR really transform themselves so that people cannot say that they hate HR or that HR is going to disappear. We strongly believe that HR has to be the right or the left hand of the CEOs of companies, correct? And we have seen a lot of examples of that happen.
Great. Falaste da mudança da função da gestão de pessoas, mas isso também muda o papel dos profissionais da gestão de pessoas e também muda as competências que esses profissionais terão. Aliás, nós vamos começar por lançar aqui em Portugal o HR Bootcamp, que é exatamente considerado um dos melhores cursos do mundo para a função de business partner. Não é? Como é que você define o perfil de competências desse novo profissional de gestão de pessoas, business partner? Quais são as competências que ele vai ter que adquirir e que são disruptivas em relação ao passado?
Okay, so let me talk about two things. The first is the concept in general. So we're very close to the World Cup, correct? And I know how important is the World Cup in Portugal. And yeah, I come from Colombia. We're very frustrated because Colombia is not going to be in the World Cup.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, but the big element here is that HR is not necessarily the protagonist. It's not necessarily the one that is going to make the goals. HR has to be the passer. HR is going to be the one that is going to make sure that it connects the defense and the goalkeeper with the strikers so that we can make the goal. So it's not necessarily about protagonism. It's about making sure that we have the right routines, the right processes, the right ways of work, the right tools so that the leaders can become better leaders. So it's not about just doing the work of the leaders, because many people think that HR is going to, many people feel that the leaders are saying, that HR is taking, or should take many of the jobs or many of the things that they normally do. What we believe is that HR has to be the passer, so that people can make their goals, plus also coach the leaders and be there by the side of the leaders to support them more than the employees, right? To make sure that the leaders can do the right thing for the employees. Because clearly, talent is not the responsibility of HR. Talent, the responsible for HR are their leaders. We in HR have a responsibility in creating an environment, a context to make that work. So that related to the first question when we think about creating the right capabilities for success. When we think about the competencies, the key competence that you also mentioned, we have done for the past 40 years, this is every 5 years, we have done a research that provides and talks about the key competencies for the organizations, for HR, correct? The first element is that people need to understand that they have to be business people that happen to be in HR. If they are not business people, that at this moment they are in HR, people are going to see them small. They're going to see you as a pair of hands, they're going to see you, and we're very close to Spain, and I typically say, it's like the Don Quixote and the Sancho Panza. So you cannot be just the Sancho Panza. This is not a pair of hands, this is not just do what they tell me to do. How are you going to be saying no with options? How are you going to contradict and create conflict in a good way so that we can construct? So having said that, we in this round, in the last round of the study that was delivered 1.5 years ago, we have identified 5 key domains of competencies. For the first time, we're talking about verbs. Previously, we spoke about adjectives. So we spoke about credible activists and all those kind of things. Now we're talking about verbs. And I think that gives us a very important connotation of the action piece. The HR people need to be action-oriented. So the first competency that we have is that we have to accelerate the business. So we have researched that around 25% of the results in business, they come from the HR capabilities. They come from the HR function, and so this is not a cost center, this is a profit center. So we need to be able to guarantee that we in HR can accelerate the business. This is by understanding the business, having that business acumen, talking the business, making sure that you can connect the HR language with the business language, those kind of things. Being the bridge, not being a tunnel, being a bridge, connecting the two areas. It's not who do you report to. It's about making sure that you have clear accountabilities both ways. So that's the first one, to accelerate the business. The second one is how to advance human capability. Capabilities are the most important elements to create the right culture for the right success. So advancing the human capability is advancing talent, taking talent to the different level, creating a culture that is going to help the organization succeed, making sure that you're working with key capabilities that are going to help transform the organization. For example, you're doing digital transformation. Call it differently. Digital transformation as if people matter. So it's not about digital transformation, it's about creating a culture that is able to understand and connect to technology. That requires a lot of skills from HR. We need to support that. The third one is how do you mobilize information? So you don't need to be an expert in technology, but you need to make sure that you understand how those pieces connect internally and externally so that you can benefit from that. When I talk about externally, I'm talking about, for example, social media. How can I transform recruiting? How can I transform development by using social media or guaranteeing that I'm connecting in different ways the organization? So that becomes a critical element for HR also. Number 4, we need to foster collaboration. We need to construct better relationships. We need to make sure that we create ecosystems that work. This is the time of high-performing teams, but not the traditional teams. It's about creating ecosystems with different pieces of the value chain. So it's not only about your company. This week I was working in Houston with a company that is creating ecosystems so that they not only work with the oil and gas organization, but talking and connecting with the different elements of the value chain. it could be vendors, it could be partners, it could be joint ventures, it could be the community. How do we create ecosystems? We need to be very good at that. The last element is how do we simplify complexity? There's a lot of talk about agility, there's a lot of talk about companies trying to implement scrums and all those kind of things. The key element here is simplify. Complexity is going to be there from here on. We have complexity all over the place. We need to understand the paradoxes. We need to understand that it's not black or white, that it's going to be gray. How do we live in those gray zones, correct, and try to understand the different stakeholders, the different tensions, to try to maximize the context of where we work. So those 5 domains of competencies, they convert into many other competencies when you double click, but they're going to be key for the success of the organizations of HR. For the organizations, and obviously, from the context of HR, they become critical. So I encourage all of you guys to work and think on how can you work with those competencies to try to take them to a different level.
Muito bom, Ernesto. Todas essas competências que tu comentaste estão perfeitamente alinhadas com os novos tempos, do HR Mindset, da era digital, de tudo isso. E nós também sabemos que o David já trabalhou em 90 países diferentes. Não é? Há alguma diferença de aplicação desse modelo em culturas diferentes ou é comum a todas as culturas?
So this is like a gray zone. It's not black or white. The first thing that I will say is that the concepts apply for a company that has 1 HR person or that has 2,000, 3,000 people in HR or more. The concepts can apply in different scales. Having said that, remember that our most important element of our value proposition is the outside-in approach. So we cannot just think that this is a cookie cutter where everything is the same. So not only in each country, but in each company, the value proposition can be different. The capabilities can be different. We need to make sure that we understand the context, that we understand the way organizations work. Not only the country, but also their culture, to adapt and to adopt. So, to answer your question, clearly, when we work, and not only Dave and our firm that has more than 80 practitioners in different parts of the world, when we work all over the place, we clearly customize, we clearly adapt, but knowing that there are some principles that are universal. That we have research globally, so we have standard practices, but we have totally differentiated practices depending on the needs of the organization. So not every presentation from Dave is the same, not every intervention from our consulting basis is the same. We customize a lot.
Great. Bom, agora estamos em Portugal, começando esta nova parceria, e quais são as suas expectativas em relação ao desenvolvimento da nossa parceria com a RBL, a PMhub, a 5 anos e a APG, e também qual é a expectativa em relação à recepção que os mercados de língua portuguesa, porque nós estamos só a falar de Portugal, estamos a falar do Brasil e dos países portugueses, dos países de língua portuguesa africanos. Qual é a sua expectativa em relação a estes mercados?
Perfect. Well, I'm very excited. I think that coming from Colombia and being a Spanish speaker, the closest I have in terms of languages is Portuguese. So I have been always very, very intrigued and have been in Brazil many, many times and have worked with a lot of Portuguese-speaking people throughout my career for more than 35 years. So for me, this is a very good opportunity, and I'm very excited and thankful for the invitation to work on this. I see a lot of potential in the markets, not only in Portugal, but as you mentioned, in the Portuguese-speaking countries. We have done a lot of things in Brazil, but I have also been invited to do some things in Africa. As a matter of fact, there's a conference right now in Egypt, which is related to, there's most of the senior leaders of countries that are there talking about the environment and all those kind of things, and I know that this is about leadership. This is about leadership, and this is about transforming people in different markets. So we are ready to deploy. We have a lot of our content in Portuguese already. we can deliver in Portuguese, Spanish, English, different languages, and we know that the country is prepared for this, not only from an HR, because we have spoken a lot about HR in this conversation, but 50% of what we do is not related to HR, it's related to leadership development, it's related to talent, to creating high-performing organizations, and I strongly believe that competitiveness in the countries, competitiveness in the organizations, start with those human capabilities, start with leadership, start with people that are willing to create abundance and to grow in the workplace that we have. So I have a lot of expectations. We have a lot of good products and a lot of ideas to consolidate our parceria, correct? And I'm very anxious to see most of you guys. We're going to have a great conference this week. We're going to be in Porto with many of the leaders of those countries and many of the leaders of those companies to talk about these challenges. So excited to use this opportunity to celebrate and to connect with you guys so that we can create many good things together.
Great. Bom, Ernesto, é uma honra e um prazer enorme estar aqui com você, ter aceitado fazer esta entrevista para a Comunica RH e ter aceita vir palestrar no Congresso da APG e, mais ainda, ser nosso parceiro para continuarmos a divulgar e a dar oportunidade a que muitos mais desfrutem das ideias de David Ulrich. Muito obrigado, Ernesto, e é uma honra e um prazer estar aqui com você.
Muito obrigado a ti e a todo el equipo con el que estamos trabajando. Prometo, I promise, that next time I will do it a little bit in Portuñol. I promise that I will be better prepared to talk in Portuñol. But we have a group of consultants and a group of different leaders that are Portuguese speaking, that are ready to deploy the concepts, and I'm going to be behind that and supporting you and your team in anything we find critical. So thank you very much, and good to see you all.